Welcome to sweet potato and broccoli creamy casserole. This takes about 50 minutes to make. It's creamy, it's indulgent, it tastes like a belly hug. It's great for all the family and great for winter. Really fantastic for sharing. It's vegan and it's easy to make gluten-free as well. So in goes 2 tablespoons of oil. In goes 1 red onion, 3 cloves of garlic and 1 red chili. We've left the seeds in because we do like a little bit of heat. If you don't like it spicy, just remove the seeds and the white pith of the chili too. Okay, we've fried down our onions and garlic until the onions have browned and gone slightly translucent. Next, we have a kilo of sweet potatoes. We've chopped them and left the skin on because the skin is one of the most nutritious parts. In they go. In on top of that, we've got 2 leeks. We've prepped and we've rinsed them. Make sure to include the green of the leek. The green of the leek is one of the most nutritious part. Next step, we've broccoli. In goes our broccoli. And we included the stalk as well. We prepped it up too. So that was 500 grams of broccoli. What we're going to do is we're going to put a good generous pinch of salt in. Excuse me, kiss me. My twin brother is going to give that a good mix. And we're going to sweat our veg, this is called. We're going to put a lid on and allow it to the salt to release a bit of moisture from the veg and allow the veg to cook slowly in its own sauce. It'll also char in the bottom of the pan and add extra notes of flavour. So we're just going to turn the heat down to medium and put the lid on and leave it sweat for about 10 to 15 minutes until the sweet potatoes cook. Okay, we've kind of sweat the veg for about 15 minutes. Point to note here is there will be a bit of char developing on the bottom. Don't worry, we're going to deglaze that shortly and release the flavour. And really how you know when you've sweated your veg enough is that the sweet potato is actually soft and cooked through. Okay, nice, okay, there you are. Okay, so now to start and make our creamy white sauce, also known as a bechamel. We've got a pot on a high heat. We're going to go with 3 tablespoons of oil. We're using olive oil. So we've gone, first step is we're making our roux. So we've got equal parts fat and starch. So we've got 3 tablespoons of oil. 3 tablespoons of flour. So just a regular white flour. If you're gluten-free, just use a gluten-free flour. And sitting is quite important so you don't get any clumps. Give it a good whisk. Just mix that flour. And what's happening now is it's starting to clump together. I'm going to add in a pinch of salt. So we're just going to go in with a pinch of black pepper. It gives a nice kind of touch of spice to it. And nutmeg also goes really well in creamy white sauces and bechamels. We're going to pinch of that. Okay, so we've cooked that down for a minute. What we're doing is we're trying to cook that raw, uncooked flour note. So once that's ready, we're going to use oat milk. You could use soy milk or milk of choice. I'm going to add in 350 ml. What you're going to do is just stir as that comes up to the heat. And you're going to be stirring that kind of going, this ain't going to work, but as it comes to the boil, the sauce is going to naturally thicken and it hit this really lovely creamy point. So most people think a creamy sauce comes from the cheese that's added to it. This one is vegan, so we've no cheese in it, and it just tastes just as good. It's the starch, it's the flour that's adding the kind of creaminess. One top tip to do is, there is a bit of, you'll see that where the sweet potato is kind of charred to the bottom of the pan, we're going to deglaze it, a fancy name for just putting in a bit of moisture just to remove that lovely flavour that you've developed. So we're just going to scrape that off and just do that throughout the base of the pan. Using our stock, we have our 500 ml of stock. I'm just using a little small amount of that. Okay, as soon as the creamy sauce starts to boil, knock it off the heat and we can stop stirring it. This is still on a gentle simmer. I'm going to add the creamy sauce to our veg now. So see, it's a nice kind of thick creamy sauce at this stage. In on top of that, I'm going to add the remainder of our 500 ml of veg stock. I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of tamari or soy sauce. And don't worry if it looks like that's too gooey, that's too saucy. It's all going to come together beautifully in the oven as the sweet potato breaks down. The starch will thicken this sauce naturally. We're going to turn it off the heat. As we mentioned earlier, we've preheated our oven to 200 degrees. I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of oil here. On top of that's 100 grams of breadcrumbs. Obviously, again, if you do want to make it gluten-free, just use gluten-free breadcrumbs. And we've got a few decent sprigs of thyme. We're just going to take the leaves off it. Okay, finally, just to top it off before we put it in the oven, we're going to spread out the breadcrumbs on top. Thyme-infused breadcrumbs. Okay, so oven gloves are quite important. We're going to take the pan, oven's preheated to 200 degrees, and we're going to put it in for 15 minutes. Just until the breadcrumbs go nice and golden and crispy. Okay, so we've had the casserole in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. It's golden up. We're ready.
Fab.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Boom.
Beautiful. There we are.
There we go. Look at the lovely crispy top on it. You can see the flavours coming up from the bottom. This looks epic. Normally we serve it straight in the pan, middle of the table. So there it is, casserole, 50 minutes, quick, easy, great way of getting loads of veg into your family, and really good warming. It's creamy, it's saucy, it's stocky. There's a crispy little layer on it. This is going to be hot now.